aware of the perfection that is there. It is never gone. It is there.
So
now this will challenge the rational mind. You say, my God, you're just pretending. No! What you're doing is you're sending your energy to the other space where there's nothing to be fixed, nothing broken, no cancer, none of these things. Now, I've been a practitioner to heal cancer on many occasions, and they've always been instantaneous. Because I take Master Jesus as my mentor, and all of his healings were instantaneous. All of them were spiritual, all of them were instantaneous healings. It wasn't come back every Thursday for 6 months, you know, anything like that. Or nice new therapy. Isn't it exciting? It's like getting a new dress in Paris, going to Paris and getting the new fashions. And if you give a disease a name, then everybody catches it.
Yeah.
So swine flu is a good example. Swine flu, everybody catches it.
Yeah, I'm just amazed at how fearful people became.
Indeed.
And how consumed they got that. And I just sort of thought, I just laughed and thought,
Oh, but I don't laugh anymore. I weep because they bless their hearts. We want so much to care about them. So I say to you, know that you have the capacity to do this. If you can get help from a non-medical practitioner, get help that you feel comfortable with, but know that you're not fixing something broken, that you've never left the state of perfection.
So you would totally focus on everything you say, you see, hear and feel, and just become fully associated that you are already perfect.
Yes.
And pour all of your energy into that.
Hold that. Absolutely.
That intention very clearly.
Absolutely, and things will happen. Amazing things will happen. I only practice this. I say the cure is always done by the patient.
Yeah, so they participate.
Yeah, they have to participate. But on a telephone 3,000 miles from Boston to San Francisco, I was the practitioner. We healed a cancer in the breast, and the very next morning when she went to have it checked, it was gone.
So instantaneous healing.
Instantaneous healing.
I suppose another thing people have to do is to open their minds up to this sort of
absolutely.
thinking.
There's no other way.
We've been so hypnotized to think, if the doctor says, we
correct.
buy into that version of reality.
And the doctors are the high priests of these days. And so, not that it's much better to go to the other kind of priest, but I won't go into that one. I'll leave that one out. But on the other hand, the doctors are the high priests. And if you look at something and read the fine print at the supermarket, and it says, scientifically tested, you buy it. You don't know what the test was. Who made the test? How honest it was? It's science. I'll buy that one.
And when you see a lot of these adverts on television these days, and it was like, tested on 279 people, and 80% agreed that this was, amazing. And it's strange that the numbers, they seem to take a bandwidth which whatever supports their figures most effectively. And for me, I think that
I try not to be too cynical about it, but on the other hand, we have to be smarter than that. And so I say to anyone who's listening to that, if you're willing to be smarter than that, if you're willing to go into your inner space and work it out there, the self-healing is available to you, but it's available to you not by trying to fix something. It's available to you. Have good nutrition. I'm not against good nutrition and things like that. But as far as therapies are concerned, one visit. I challenge my therapy friends. I love you, I love you, I love you. One visit, complete healing. And then if they come back next week, it's for something else. Okay, it's all right for them to come back and be friends. Come back next week, because you will have no financial thing, because it all disappears on one visit. But on the other hand, I'm just being joking on that one. But the thing is, it's really the inner healing.
The other thing as well, I remember you were on Indian television.
Yes.
You're being broadcast to 40 million people.
40 million people heard.
Oh, wow, that's absolutely phenomenal.
I was invited out there to the 16th Human Unity Congress, and it was run by India people. Earlier, they do that all over the world for the 16th. Sometimes it's in Mexico, sometimes in America. I went to it in America and became a part of it once. And so then 10 years later, they invited me out to the one in India, and there were over 200,000 people in the audience there. And so I gave some of the things that you're hearing today, But mostly it was to get the human unity together. We are all children under one God. And so therefore we describe ourselves differently. We have different mannerisms and different, belief systems, but we're one. And they cheered. They really cheered on that. So that was heard by over 200,000 people. You can only do that in India. They went tent after tent. I couldn't even see it. As a photograph, and I can't even see the end of it. But the interesting thing to me was that then they put us on television. That wasn't just me, the other speakers also. But the President of India, Johnny Gale Singh, heard me on television. There were 40 million people, you're right. All India television. So he invited Jen and me to the presidential palace and said, what is this that you're saying? So we had a good discussion there and things like that. So the pictures were taken. I don't know, very good, but it was a good moment. It was a good moment. He said thank you, and he shared it then with many of his cabinet that were involved with. This wasn't so much on healing. This was much more on human unity, much more on recognizing that we are all one.
That's such a wonderful spiritual. It's got such a wonderful spiritual history, and such a one of the things that I really like about India. Although it's such a diverse and incredible country, they've got such an appreciation of animals, and they do, and acceptance. And
isn't it kind of funny to be in the middle of a traffic jam and a cow is sitting there and nobody will move the cow? Yes, it is very good. They're graceful, gentle people. I'm very pleased. But also here in Ireland and everywhere else, there are graceful, gentle people throughout the world. We don't seem to get them into the politics, and so they're not in the decision-making area nearly enough.
I always felt that anybody that wanted to be a politician shouldn't be allowed.
There are good people everywhere, but on the other hand, they don't tend to get rid of the ones that are making problems, and so I'm not happy. That's why about that whole American thing. I'm being looked at by CIA and others to see if they should eliminate me or not. So I'm rather careful about where I live and where I'm going.
What you say?
Yes. No, but your space is wonderful. If you redefine medicine, you have a foundation which can make a real difference. Now, there are maybe those who really think pharmaceutics is the way to go. So I say, all right, thank you, go that way. If you survive, I'll be glad to meet you. But I hope that you can redefine medicine.
Yeah, I've even spoken to a lot of doctors, and one of the things that I've found that I can really do now is I can cure hay fever in one session with 100% success rate. And when you say that to a doctor or a GP, they just think you're completely mad.
They do.
And I sort of feel like, give me your worst patients and I'll show you how easy
and effective it is.
I
want to say things that don't intimidate or antagonize those that are listening here, and say, you're in charge of your life. Let's make that really clear. And if that's the way you want to do, if you do survive, I have to put that jab in there, if you do survive, see if you can't move to a higher state of being.
Or be even open to considering something different.
Absolutely, open to something different.
I've seen so many people, and it just says the doctor says, and that's it. And it's almost like they pass the responsibility for their healing over to somebody else.
They do, absolutely.
And I just think that is so detrimental to their spirit.
Yes. Well, I don't know what I look like on television, but in my mid-80s, I say, I'm just beginning. This is my 5th career. Hello, my 5th career. I'm just beginning, and I don't like my 5th career very much, so I want to get on to the 6th. Because the 5th career is international finance to get all these things funded that we're talking about, and that's driving me up the wall. But on the other hand, if we can get that one sorted out, and so that, that the programs get delivered, and if you go to 4winds10.com, 4winds10.com, and listen to what Casper is saying there, you'll really know what's happening behind the scenes. Every head of state has to go to that website. Everyone in any place, being good or bad, they have to know what's being said there, because that's the God's truth. And all the rest of it is it must be a good word.
That's making one up.
Sub rosa. Okay, under there. where nobody knows it's